Hello everyone, thank you for joining me tonight. I am Bibi Chia, a dietitian by profession and a food lover by nature. You might have seen me live on radio and TV talking about food and nutrition. As a busy mom, I often find myself strapped for time to churn out quick yet nutritious meals for my family. Tonight, I will be sharing with you my personal one-pot meal Thermomix recipe that is not only very delicious but also full of goodness for your body. This one-pot meal includes protein, vegetables, and healthy carbohydrates using Taj low GI basmati rice. Now, Taj basmati rice has a low glycemic index compared to other forms of white rice, which means the same amount of carbohydrates keeps us fuller for a longer period of time. Once digested, the rice slowly releases energy to keep blood sugar levels more stable, which is a crucial part of diabetes management. Taj basmati rice is suitable for people who love to eat rice like me and you, but need to keep a close tab on your carb intake and sugar levels. As always, a good diet is eating a balanced diet. Before I start, remember to click like and share and invite your friends to watch this tutorial together. Let me introduce the ingredients needed to make this delicious one-pot meal. This dish is full of aromatic spices and perfect for the upcoming Ramadan and Raya celebrations too. Now, to cook this one-pot dish, I will be using these ingredients tonight. We have a lean chicken breast, some onion, some fresh coriander, some carrots, some basmati rice, some low-fat Greek yogurt, some vegetable stock, and I have prepared both, but if you prefer something that's more child-friendly, you might want to use the green peppers that I have here today, which is what I'm going to use. And to spice it up, you can also add some spicy chili. I've also been using some different herbs and then spices as well. This includes some garlic, some garam masala, some paprika powder, some turmeric, some cumin seeds, some salt as well. Now, in order to have a nice crunchy texture on top of your one-pot dish, I have prepared some mixed nuts as well as some raisins, and this is optional. So let's get started. Now, before we start making the marinade in the Thermomix, you will need to preheat your oven at 250 degrees, and it will be very helpful to have a oven-proof dish with a lid. Now, if you don't have one, it doesn't matter. All you need is get some foil and cover it before putting it in the oven. Now, let's start making the marinade. So it's very simple. All we need is to put all the ingredients inside the Thermomix and blend it for 10 seconds in speed 4. So what I would use is some low-fat Greek yogurt, I'll add in the fresh coriander, the garlic, turmeric powder, the garam masala, some cumin seeds, some paprika, some salt, and lastly, if you prefer something more spicy, you can use chili, but I'm going to make something that's less fiery. I'm going to use some green peppers. You can also use green chilies if you like. Now that I've put everything in a bowl, all you need to do is to cover it and blend it for 10 seconds in speed 4. Done. Now it smells wonderful. So I'm just going to remove the bowl over here. As you can see, the marinade is very well mixed. Alright, and what we're going to do is we're going to add this into the bowl where we put our low-fat, lean chicken breast. I'm just going to empty this into the bowl and give it a good mix. All right. So after putting the marinade together with the chicken, you want to give it a good mix to make sure that every piece is coated with this delicious marinade. What you want to do is to set it aside for 10-20 minutes, and if you have time, even longer for more flavor, but a good 10 minutes would be nice. So next what we're going to do is start cooking the rice as well as the vegetables, and we're going to add in the chicken later on before we put it in the oven and let it slowly cook in there. Now moving on to my second Thermomix, I'm going to place 200 grams of onion in there, and you can do so by weighing this onion with the scales function. So we'll wait for it to zero, and you don't really have to chop them up, the machine does it for you. So you're just going to put 200 grams of onion. Almost. Alright, just a little bit more, doesn't matter. Okay, so what we're going to do is to cover this and give it a nice chop. Now all you need to do is chop it for 4 seconds at speed 4.5. And it's done. No smelly fingers and teary eyes. Okay, so you use a spatula and scrape down the side. Okay, and we're going to use a good extra virgin olive oil, and we'll need about 20 mils. And you can again go back to the scales, wait for it to zero, and use some olive oil with this recipe. Okay. Done. Now to saute the onions, you need to put it on Valroma for 5 minutes at speed 1. So while we are waiting for the onions to get softened and be aromatic, I'd like to share with you some of the nutritional tips as well as the nutritional content of the ingredients we are using today. Now, first of all, we are using a turmeric powder. If you have fresh turmeric, you can use that as well. And turmeric is known to have anti-inflammatory properties. So people with gut issues can always add that a little bit into your cooking. Could be in your sauces, in your curries, and also as a marinade. Meanwhile, I'm just going to clear some of these dishes so that we have more space to work on. It's done. Smells wonderful. Now what I'm going to do next is to pop in the carrots and stir fry it at 2 minutes, speed half and aroma. Okay. So we're going to cook this for 2 minutes. Add the aroma of just speed 0.5 or half. Nice, now it's done. I'm going to add in the broth. The rice, and today we're using basmati rice. And the chicken that we marinated earlier on. I'm going to pop the lid back on and continue cooking. Okay. Right, I'm just going to clear these dishes, put it aside. Being a user of Thermomix for a while now, I love how convenient cooking has become. For those of you who love to blend up a spice mix for like your rempah, you will love the convenience of blending and cooking in one pot. Now, being able to make your own spice blend from scratch means you can make it as spicy as you like using fresh ingredients. Now, my spices are always made on demand. I no longer need to stock jars of store-bought spices. I can make them myself, be it Moroccan, Mediterranean, or Peranakan, and always cooked to the way I like it. Now, my kitchen is also less cluttered, and cooking and cleaning is a breeze, as my kitchen is never messy when I'm using a Thermomix to cook. Okay, I'm just going to bring over my heat-resistant baking dish so that once the chicken and the rice is done in 10 minutes, I'm going to put this in this dish to bake it in the oven at 250 degrees Celsius. Okay, now it's done, and I'm going to remove the rice and pour it into my baking dish. It smells delicious. So I'm going to evenly spread this rice and chicken evenly. Now put on the lid. So those of you who have missed the earlier parts, if you don't have a dish that has a lid, you can always just get some foil, cover it up before popping it into the oven. So I preheated the oven earlier on at 250 degrees. All you need to do now is to put it into the oven and let it simmer for another 20 minutes. Now over here is the home screen. So if you like to make your own favorite recipe, you can always select the time that you want, the temperature, and the speed to cook the dishes you want to cook. Now there's also, over here after I swipe, is the function screen. And there are so many different automatic functions that you can cook with. And one of my favorite is the egg boiler. I make that perfect soft-boiled eggs for breakfast in just one press. And also it includes a dough making function where you can make your own bread. And lastly, after you cook, you need to wash. So what do? You use the pre-cleaning function to help you clean fast and easy. Now lastly, if I swipe again, you will get to see the cookie dough screen. And that's when you can search for your favorite recipes, and it gives you the instructions, the ingredients, and exactly how to cook those dishes. So look at all those wonderful recipes that you can find on cookie dough. And it can range from stews to breads to stir fries. So you will have a lot of fun looking through these recipes. Now I'd like to share just a little bit more about cooking rice in a Thermomix. Now today what I've used is a Taj basmati rice. For those who have missed the earlier portion, I'm using Taj basmati rice. Now basmati rice is low in GI, and it can help those of you who are trying to control your sugar levels or the amount of carbohydrates you're eating, because it can help to give you more energy even at the same amount of carbohydrates. Now to cook this rice, I often use a basket. Now the basket looks like this, okay? So what you do is you will place the rice in the basket and the water at the bottom of the pot. So what it does is that it helps you magically reduces the amount of carbohydrate in the rice that is being cooked, because some of it is being left behind in the water. Now an average person in a meal to have enough energy will need about 150 grams of cooked rice, and that equates to about 50 grams of uncooked rice. Now just to show you how it's done and how easy it is to cook rice in your Thermomix, I'm going to show you how to use this basket to also cook this low carbohydrate rice. Now I'm going to put this basket into the Thermomix. We're going to tear this, and I'm going to use 100 grams of basmati rice. Okay, I'm going to remove this basket, and I'm just going to rinse this rice before we start cooking. Alright, I'm just going to pop the washed rice back into the Thermomix, and I'm going to use about 1 liter of water. Now to cook this rice, I'm just going to put the lid back on, and then later I'll show you with the lid open just to see how this rice is being cooked. I'm going to go back to my manual function, and it only takes 15 minutes. At 100 degrees and speed 3.5. When the rice is done, you would see that a lot of that starchy water is left at the bottom of the pot. Come, let me show this to you. Now the Thermomix is actually cooking the rice as well as washing away the extra starch. Great! Now 20 minutes has gone and the rice is done. I'm just going to put on my oven mittens and show you how easy and delicious this dish is. remove the lid. Wow, it smells marvelous. Okay, I'm gonna get a spatula to give it a nice toss before putting on the delicious garnish that we have prepared today. Wow, look at all these wholesome ingredients. It smells so good and it's so moist and super easy to make with my Thermomix. Alright, so this is an easy one-pot dish that you can easily make at home. But before we serve, let's add on some nuts. Now I'm using a mixed nuts. You can choose your favorite nuts as well. Just to give it extra flavor and some sweetness, I'm using some raisins, and this is optional if you like to add or not. I'm gonna sprinkle on some coriander leaves. And lastly, for those of you who like to eat spicy food, I am going to put on some small pieces of fresh chili. Now done! An easy one-pot dish that you can easily prepare for your family. It's delicious, it's nutritious, and made super easy with the Thermomix. Now remember to like and share tonight's tutorial. I am Bibi Chia, a dietitian by profession and a food lover by nature. Thank you for tuning in to my tutorial and see you next time.